What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So today I wanted to take a look at a set of pretty cool skins that ended up getting cancelled for League of Legends. And personally I think these are really cool, and this list isn't necessarily meant to be like the best skins, but more so like the craziest or like the most ridiculous ones that, well, just didn't make it into League of Legends. Actually, most of these skins are pretty bad to be honest, but they're also kind of hilarious in retrospect, and so I think it'd be fun to take a look at. So without further ado, let's jump right into the list. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button or let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe for some more videos. First up, we've got a skin which goes by the name Exterminator Twitch. It was originally extracted from the game files a little while back and is quite an interesting skin to say the least. Taking on the role of an exterminator, the skin shows Twitch in an exterminator outfit, an exterminator gun connected to a tank on his back. The overall quality is pretty funny actually. I mean, his face is really something hilarious to look at, and I couldn't help but notice his shoes as well as the dead smiley face on the canister of his gun. We don't really know why Riot cancelled this one, but it might have simply just not lived up to the high standards that they put for skins. Next up, we've got Arm Cannon Tristana. This one is particularly hilarious, I think. Similarly, it was extracted from the game files, and it actually has some gameplay footage that we can play to show the skin. This comes courtesy of Skin Spotlight, so definitely be sure to check out his channel. He makes a whole bunch of awesome videos showcasing skins in League of Legends. Now this skin is obviously Tristana, but with a unique take on something like maybe Samus with her arm actually just being the cannon. There's no real abilities to show, only this kind of funny little video of her wobbling around all like I don't know. It definitely looks pretty awful from the color palette, which makes her look almost like a bad Buzz Lightyear, to the janky animations and the really odd-faced design. It's not quite something we'd expect Riot to release, which is why we probably never saw a trace of it again. It might have actually been possible that the cannon arm that they attempted on this skin later translated over into Pulsefire Ezreal. It's not too hard to imagine actually, but I think a consistent theme with a lot of these cancelled skins is that they just look horrible, probably because the development on them wasn't necessarily finished. So in many cases, they probably got cancelled because the writers just didn't like the concept, or they didn't really see the skin going anywhere, or maybe they just didn't really think the idea was that cool after they had done some artwork on it. Anyway, moving forward, we have a skin that actually doesn't look that bad whatsoever, and it did receive quite a lot of praise. And this was the Futuristic Caitlyn skin. Now this was actually previewed during PAX Australia quite a while ago. They showcased a bunch of handful of art previews and concepts that hinted at a Caitlyn skin with futuristic armor and of course a futuristic rifle. It looked really cool and actually got a lot of hype as the concept was just really awesome. Now this actually came up 6 years ago, and shortly after the preview we saw pretty much nothing and heard nothing about the development or release of the skin. And fast forward to 2017, Riot brought back the old idea to life and placed a kind of revamped version of it as it was redesigned into Pulsefire Caitlyn, which I think we can all agree is a pretty awesome skin. Next up, we've got this weird Soraka recolor. Now the thing is, I'm not too sure what to call this because all we kind of have is a picture of this loading screen. With that being said, it's kind of hard to judge this skin. I mean, to be honest here, it's something that looks just straight out of a nightmare. Her face was designed very narrow with this purple skin, blue eyes, and this weird mouth. Now this skin was supposedly reworked into dried Soraka, but it's a little bit difficult to see since the two have such massive differences in style, and the fact that one looks evil and the other looks so peaceful. But if you actually dig up the old dried splash art, we do get to see a little bit more similarities. Grim theme remains the glowing eyes, and overall dark and more evil style is retained in general. Anyhow, with that being said, let's move on to our next skin, which is actually another recolor for Evelyn. Now this one was actually not too bad if you consider some of the other skins we've looked at, I guess. Considering how the game actually used to look back in the day at the time that this skin was made, as well as the splash arts back then too, it's not too hard to consider this just being a really basic actual skin. Spitting green is the primary color, it still does look very much like Evelyn at least. It's by no means that great compared to other skins, but it was found in the game files a long time ago and is speculated to have later become Masquerade Evelyn. Similar to the last skin, it's very far from one another until you find the oldest possible splash art in which the primary color has been changed to purple, but the curly hair coming down from the front and the overall style going up has been retained and then reworked. Now a little off topic, I'd kind of like to see how far Riot has actually come in terms of quality and splash art fidelity. It's definitely really amazing to see how they improve and continue to improve over the years. Anyway, moving on to the next cancelled skin that didn't make it into League of Legends, we have Battle Priest Soraka, which was a very, very old skin that got cancelled. After being scrapped, it was reworked into Celestine Soraka, where they actually have quite a lot of similarities. The old skin was definitely a bold and crazy idea that kind of just wasn't executed the best. Soraka in heavy armor and a big staff definitely sounds interesting, but they maybe went a little bit too far originally. Stacking her with these heavy shoulder pads and this enormous staff ended up looking really bulky and overcrowded. It kind of just doesn't fit her theme, honestly. She's supposed to be this nimble and squishy healer, so stacking her with this bulky armor kind of just didn't seem right, I think. However, the reworked Celestine Soraka drops a lot of the clunky armor in replacement of light pads and a very clean looking robe, so it was definitely an awesome rework with a great final product. Next up, we've got a bit of a joke skin, and that is Rick Astley Ezreal. At the time of Trundle's release, Ezreal files were found and revealed something rather interesting. It was kind of this Rick Roll themed Ezreal skin with no model, but only a texture to match. The face textures do map to his original model perfectly, so it was something Riot was actually making at the time. It's definitely a huge meme back in the day, and maybe the meme isn't as popular these days, but you know, this was like 2010. Back then, Rickroll was in its prime. And to be honest, it would be pretty funny and kind of iconic to have in the game if they had actually released this one. Not too sure why it was scrapped, but maybe they weren't really able to have it meet the standards, or there was like a copyright issue, or just the overall iconic feel that they wanted to accomplish it just didn't exist. It was never heard of again and wasn't really reworked into anything particularly. It's more than likely that we'll probably never see the skin again since the meme is just not as popular these days, but it's definitely commendable that Riot kind of attempted or at least messed around with ideas like this. Next up, we've got Dark Crusader Mordekaiser. Now this skin wasn't actually all that bad in my opinion. I think the model of him in the medieval themed armor was definitely pretty cool, but it did lack some unique flair. It didn't stand out all that much and was subsequently cancelled. However, it did appear once again later as they reworked it into none other than King of Clubs Mordekaiser, which is actually a pretty cool skin that sticks to the medieval theme in a much cooler way. It's also a lot more unique, which is definitely important for Riot when developing and deciding to release a skin. Next up, we've got Queen Sejuani. She was extracted from the game files, and in my opinion is probably the best skin that we're taking a look at today on this list. She's got this really cool ice white and steel armor, an awesome wolf theme for her mount, and weapons that do look pretty awesome. It's a pretty cool skin, and why it's been cancelled was completely unknown. Of course, we only have pictures to go off of, so it's possible that maybe the in-game form of this model wasn't really working all that well, maybe the animations were hard to create, or maybe they just decided that it wasn't really a great skin. I'm not all too sure, but I actually think it's possible that some sort of iteration of this concept will make a return in the future. Only time will tell, really. And next up, we've got the skin of Tahm Kench in Wonderland. Now to clarify, this is actually a fan-made skin that garnered quite a lot of attention. We did feature it in a recent video, and for good reason. It's a really awesome and just amazingly designed skin. I definitely recommend you go check out the original artist for this awesome piece of work. However, at one point during the development, the players had the possibility to upvote their favorite pick for a launch skin. The Cheshire Cat Tahm Kench skin actually won the votes in the poll, which was very similar or almost identical to the Tahm Kench in Wonderland fan-made skin. And the team working on Tahm Kench said they loved the idea, but apparently was a little bit too unrecognizable for a launch skin, stating that they would eventually come back to it and release it later. Since then, there hasn't really been anything about the skin, no leaks, comments, or previews. It's pretty unfortunate since it did receive a lot of hype and love at the time. I've still got hope for this one, although I think it's safe to say that it's probably been cancelled at this point. Anyway, that's just about going to wrap up our list for today. I kind of wanted to just take a look at some of the coolest and craziest cancelled skins that existed in League of Legends. I know we've made a lot of videos about cancelled skins in the past, but it's kind of fun to just like take a look back at them and especially showcase the best ones, I think. So let me know which one of these cancelled skins you thought were maybe the most ridiculous, the craziest, or just your personal favorite. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content like this one. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.